210 acres situated on the old Brooklyn Waterworks. It is Aqueduct Racetrack. Our fall meet certainly in full swing. And how about that? The big news flash on the day. The sun actually made an appearance here at South Ozone Park, Queens. You've made it in time. We're happy about that. Jason Blewett, Richard McLeori alongside our clubhouse studios at the Big A. It's another weekend, Mig, and a good weekend where we hope to get back on the turf tomorrow.
Well, it was nice to see that sun poke through. And in spite of that, though, I would have to think we're still going to have very soft ground tomorrow on the turf, and the track will probably dry out, and we'll probably have a fast track at least by the middle of the card. I don't even know about by the first race because it did take a lot of water.
But we will have that 9-race card that jump starts at 12:20 p.m. A $200,000 guarantee late pick 4. We look forward to that. The Grade 3 Long Island talking about potential soft turf conditions for the fillies and mares as they go a mile and a half. And some good news as we get to our first headline regarding jockeys getting health coverage in the state of New York. It sounds like going forward, New York State taxes are going to stream and fund jockeys' health coverage.
Well, obviously, I'm for it. I mean, I'm a former rider, but once a rider, always a rider. And I really feel like it's long past due. California's had it for a long time. Delaware has had it for a long time. It's very difficult for riders to get proper health coverage, especially with a lot of injuries they've gone through and pre-existing conditions. So I think this is a good thing, a really positive step forward.
All right, fair enough. Now, the complete opposite down at Parks, where the racetrack management sent out a waiver yesterday afternoon that they wanted their riders to sign, saying if you don't sign this waiver, you're not going to be allowed to ride at Parks. And it basically was a waiver saying that riding horses is dangerous and it might result in serious injury or death. And it sounds like the Jockeys Guild, swooped right in, and rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely rightfully so. If I was riding at Parks, I would move my tack. I wouldn't put up with it. I would leave. It's an absurdity. Obviously, there's an assumed risk. It's a very dangerous job. But this is in response. This is Parks' response to having to pay out a huge settlement to an exercise rider's family that was killed on their racetrack, and ultimately because a chicken ran on the track and spooked the horse. It's a very dangerous job, and if we don't take care of our own and make sure these things are done properly, you know what? Parkson just should run a casino and forget about the racing.
Well, we're certainly glad the Jockeys Guild was involved, and it sounds like talks took place earlier today, and they are moving in the right direction. And they haven't run at Parks all week, or at least since the last day they raced, whatever it was, Monday or Tuesday. They are running tomorrow, and it sounds like the jockeys will ride.
Well, I hope so, and I hope they get it situated. But really, you can't treat the competitors like second-class citizens. These guys do put their lives on the line. I understand. They understand the risk going in. But at the same time, without the riders, are you really going to have 9 loose horses running races out there? Come on, guys. Really, we've got to get a little realistic with this.
All right, well, we come home here to the Big A. We switch gears, and we look at our second Friday card of a meet that is officially a week and a half old. We get them in the gate. It's the Friday feature, Race 5, a high-priced allowance optional claimer with John Embrial at the booth.
It's Tenango. Spa City Fever is up close. Ponzi Scheme came away racing in 4th. Then it's Vegas No Show and Speak Logistics right together. St. Moose trails the field as they race up the chute and head for the backstretch. Percussion on the inside and Tenango on the outside. And those two hook up here. Percussion with a head in front now. Tenango right there in 2nd. And Spa City Fever just in behind in 3rd. With Ponzi Scheme a close-up 4th through a quarter in 23 and 2. Percussion has the lead here by a half length over Tenango. Now a length and a half to Spa City Fever and Ponzi Scheme. A break of 2. St. Moose now moving up on the inside of Vegas No Show. Speak Logistics trails the field in 7th. The opening half mile in 46 3/5 seconds. Percussion going at a good clip here and leading by 3/4 of a length. Tenango runs in 2nd. Spa City Fever is right there in 3rd and gaining some ground on the outside. St. Moose now into 4th. Then it's Vegas No Show, Ponzi Scheme, and farther back at Speak Logistics. 3 of them across as they come for the head of the stretch. Percussion, Tenango, and Spa City Fever. Tenango and Spa City Fever. Now it's between those two as Percussion drops back. St. Moose is on the outside, and there's less than 1/8 of a mile to the finish. On the inside, Tenango digs down. Spa City Fever right there driving. Spa City Fever and Tenango. They're putting in a good stretch duel here. They come for the wire. It looked like Tenango got it. A photo finish, Tenango and Spa City Fever. Farther back, St. Moose, and then Percussion.
Wow, big battle down to the wire. Two David Jacobson runners who just pull away, and Tenango ultra game over Spa City Fever.
Extremely game. I didn't think he really wanted a mile. I guess I was wrong, and he was closer to the inside than his stablemate, Spa City Fever, and he still battled back. I thought this was an ultra game performance, and we're seeing the David Jacobson barn is white hot.
Well, I mean, he stables here. He's got a good chunk of horses stabled at Aqueduct. He trains many horses, and he is certainly a guy that is not afraid to take a loss on a horse and, quite simply, I think, put them where they belong.
Well, he'll run them where they can win, no doubt about it. And if the horse isn't going to excel, he'll find a spot where they can win and let somebody else take them and let them be their problem. But it seems like he knows the kind of horses to target for the winter, and I think heading into the winter, you're going to see him really shine. He does good year-round, but this is his time.
Quick little pop to percussion. He was the lukewarm favorite. Kind of opened a little chilly, 7-2, 4-1. Went down to the 2-1 favorite in his first start since Memorial Day weekend, setting the pace down towards the inside and had no run.
Yeah, the inside was not the place you wanted to be. Johnny Velazquez had no choices. I mean, he was basically kind of stuck down in there. I don't think he's a one-turn horse either. I think we look for this horse back 2 turns, either on the inner track or back on the main.
Certainly was mentioned with the top handicap horses stabled in New York last winter on the inner. We'll see if he's got another big winter campaign in him as we send it back to Johnny I, who will be calling this winter, and he's got the call down the backside in race 7.
Mataurus, Herbal Prospector, and down towards the rail, it's Bernie the Maestro. Bernie the Maestro comes on through to grab the lead from Moonluck. Then it's Mataurus who's racing in third. A break of 2 to Santa Elf. Newbin Ridge is on the inside. Then For the Love of Lil, extreme outside, in My Father's Image. Herbal Prospectors in between horses. And Western Tryst is the trailer in ninth. The quarter 23-1. Bernie the Maestro on the lead here by a little more than a length, with Moonluck giving chase in second. Mataurus in the clear on the outside in third. Newbin Ridge down at the rail. Santa Elf alongside. They're right together, fourth and fifth. For the Love of Lil, In My Father's Image. Those two races a team. Then it's Herbal Prospector and Western Tryst still at the back. The half was 46 3/5 seconds. Moonluck right to the neck here of Bernie the Maestro, and Mataurus, the big long shot on the outside. And down on the inside, it's Newbin Ridge now coming on. Santa Elf looking for a way through. Moonluck comes away with the lead. Newbin Ridge at the rail. Then it's Santa Elf in third. It's Moonluck, the one to catch with a 16th to the wire. Santa Elf in second. It's Moonluck, Santa Elf second, and that's the way it'll be under the line. Moonluck the winner, Santa Elf second, then Newbin Ridge and Mataurus.
4 wins from 7 starts. We've looked at 2 races thus far today. David Jacobson has won them both, and he is part owner of this 4-year-old son of Malibu Moon, who, as I was saying, is now 4 for 7 and okay.
Man, he's really okay. I love his stride. He's get that little extra bounce to his step. When he reaches out, he gets just a little more coverage over the ground. It really impressed me. I mean, I know he's running for 35, but the kind of horse that I like. And game run by the runner-up Santa Elf with Michael Ritvo, who's making a little bit of an impression already.
Looks like a strong finisher and tactically pretty sound. 5-pound apprentice who has that weight allowance through June of 2015. And that horse, Santa Elf, in fact, claimed out of Tony Dutrow. We'll have the remainder of the claims on this Friday card a bit later in the show. But the sun is beginning to set in the western sky, and we send it to our first time out here on MSG Plus. Stay tuned. Look how good the sky looks. You get those pretty sunsets, that unparalleled skyline of Manhattan here over at the Big A, New York City's racetrack. And what a great day it was for thoroughbred racing. Main track was starting to dry out, ended the day muddy. We hope for good or maybe even a fast when we start things off at 12:20. But no rest for the weary. November, a busy month. Obviously, the Breeders' Cup about a week old. Moving ahead, we've got that Aqueduct Fall Handicapping Challenge here on November 15th and 16th. Top 3 finishers qualify for the DRF NTRA National Handicapping Championship, and that is a contest that will sell out. Maybe you and I should buy an entry. We'll whack it right down the middle and go in as partners.
Well, I'll put up half the money if you do all the work. I mean, have you done any of these? I think they're terrific, and these live money tournaments are terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly some people we know did pretty well last weekend out at the Breeders' Cup. Nick Tamaro, who's in his early 30s, a close friend of Andy Serling, took down a little over 100,000. John Conti, who's been coming to the races for a long time and certainly had that grass is greener tip sheet. Did a little better at 110,000 or so.
It's not a bad Breeders' Cup weekend for them.
No, Breeders' Cup
jockeys
31.
and the trainers weren't the only ones making money.
No, that's for sure. But we love the game. We love being horse players, and we love sending it to Johnny I, and he'll take us through race number 9. Again, Muddy Main track. Decent group of 2-year-old filly maidens, and we go up for the call.
And they're off. From the inside, Storm Alina is out for the lead. Midnight Citra is racing in second. Nejma is third. Ultimate was off a step slow. Now gains ground down at the rail. Then it's Loaded for Bear racing in fifth. Egyptian Magic is sixth. And Kelly's Road is the trailer in seventh. Storm Alina leads here by more than 2 lengths. Midnight Citra and All Too Many right together, second and third, with Nejma in fourth and Loaded for Bear in fifth through an opening quarter mile in the mud in 22 2/5 seconds. Farther back, it's Egyptian Magic and then Kaylee's Road. Up front, Storm Alina has a 3-length lead. Midnight Citra races in second. Down on the inside is All Too Many. Then Nejma, Loaded for Bear in between horses. Storm Alina with a 5-length lead now. Midnight Citra is second. Storm Alina with the big lead and just a 16th to the wire. Storm Alina stormed right out of the starting gate and will take this field wire to wire. First time starter wins at a big price. Midnight Citra was second, then All Too Many and Kaylee's Road.
One of these firsters, 16-1, closing odds 35.40, and ran big like a firster who should have paid $3.54.
An $82,000 weanling purchase at Keeneland. Stormy Atlantic out of came home is definitely a good pedigree for the mud and a nice-looking first-time starter. Newtown Anner stud. Actually, my neighbor up in Millbrook, Morris Regan, who gets some money. And first horse I've seen trained by Rudy Rodriguez for him.
Had a lot of horses with John Terranova. It seems like they spread out a bit. I know Todd Pletcher ran a couple over the summer at Saratoga. And a good-looking filly who certainly likes the dirt, and being by Stormy Atlantic might like the turf going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, you know, she has speed because she was very naturally quick away from the gate. And usually a first-time starter isn't that clued in. Well, she was very clued in.
Well, speaking of being clued in, it's Johnny I who gets us up to speed with the remainder of this second Friday this fall at Aqueduct as we send it back for 6 replays off the quarter pole.
And naturally won. 3/4 in 1, 14 2. They're in the stretch. False positive. GR's Giant. Here's Golden Luck now on the outside to take over the lead. Golden Luck in front and drawing away. GR's Giant in second. It's Golden Luck at 20-1. Longest shot on the board to take the opener in the mud. GR's Giant second. Naturally Won came on for third. Evans Cool Cat. Silver Silence continues to move up on the outside. It's Stage Name, and here is Silver Silence out in the middle of the track. Silver Silence and Stage Name right together as they pass the 8th pole, and now Silver Silence is in front. Stage Name in second. Belafaci is third. They come for the wire. It's Silver Silence by a half length. Stage Name was second. Farther back, Belafaci and Golden Cheetah. Field comes off the turn and enters the stretch. Player to be named. Abide in Me is all out on the outside. Abide in Me, player to be named. And here comes It's Easy. Abide in Me, and It's Easy. And now it's between those two with a 16th to the wire. It's Easy on the outside has taken over the lead. It's Easy has it won here by 2 lengths at the end. Abide in Me has to settle for second. Then it was Gimlet with a twist, player to be named, and Panella. Vea and Rare Eagle down at the fence. The half in 47 2, 3/4 in 1, 12 3, and now Sasakaya strikes the lead as they pass the 3/16 pole. It's Sasakaya in front. Rare Eagle, Vea, Jazz Player has tailed off. It's Sasakaya in front. Rare Eagle in second. They come for the wire, and Sasakaya breaks his maiden off the layoff. Rare Eagle was second, and Vea finished third. The favorite and a long shot right together at the top of the stretch. Mr. Masterpiece on the outside of Royal Posse. Those two are together as they come down for the 8th pole. Mr. Masterpiece, Royal Posse. This Hard Land now kicking in on the outside. It's Royal Posse and This Hard Land. Now it's between those two. Royal Posse, This Hard Land on the outside. This Hard Land got there. This Hard Land by a head for victory takes the lead as they turn for home. Modern Child is now coming up on the outside. Groom for Victory with the lead. Modern Child on the outside. Groom for Victory trying to hold off Modern Child with less than 1/8 of a mile to the finish. It's Groom for Victory holding that lead. Modern Child gave a run at him, but will be second best to the veteran Groom for Victory, 1 by 2. Modern Child second, then Special Selection, Status of Forces, and Lawyer
And
Jim.
like a fine wine, Groom for Victory, just bringing it and is as good as ever. Maybe not as good as ever, but he really hasn't lost too many steps. He'll be 10 in about a month and a half. Lifetime win number 14 and career start number 52, and third win on the day for David Jacobson. What does David do well with these older claimers, these older geldings?
Well, I think when you get these horses that are 8, 9, soon to be 10 years old, Groom for Victory, they have so much foundation. They don't need hard workouts. You got to keep them fresh, keep them happy. If you look at the way David Jacobson works his horses, 3/8 and 40, half and 54, enough to keep them at their fitness level without kind of souring them up or making them, tired of what they're doing, so that they're really fresh for the races. And I think that's the key to it. They're fit. He keeps them fresh.
Well, one race David didn't win on today's card was Friday's 4th as we backtrack to the opening leg of the Pick 6. Erod Ortiz Jr., black cap on the rail with Rare Eagle. The eventual winner, Sassicaia, out in the maroon cap 4 wide or so.
Yeah, and I mean, Sassicaia got the perfect trip. And speaking of fine wine, Sassicaia is a fine wine, so he's named for a very expensive Italian wine. But Rare Eagle took the worst of it. And today, the rail wasn't the place to be. He ducked down to the inside from a far outside post position. And when he was able to get out from behind Sassicaia, he actually finished very well. And he's a horse that you want to look for going forward. But the thing about it is, you have to pay attention. And I'm a big fan of the Ortiz brothers. But when you're in the room and you're watching, and horses are winning on the outside all day, you've got to make the effort to get out there. If the rail's wide open and you can get there too easy, maybe you got to ask yourself, why am I getting this spot so easy?
Right.
Everybody wants to save ground unless the rail is dead. You got to pay attention.
Yeah, you hate to pile on. There was another horse, I think, a horse to keep in mind going forward in race 7 with Jose Ortiz and Newbin Ridge, who was glued right on the rail. And this is not a case where the rail magically has not been the place to be. It's been dead since we returned to action on Wednesday, and the majority of riders have been staying 3, 4, 5 wide since the start of the second week.
Yeah, much like a park surface, although when our surface gets wet, sometimes the inside will get a little deeper. And really, yeah, you do have to ask yourself as a rider, if I'm getting easy pass along the rail and nobody else is here, why are guys letting me get through here? They don't want it. It's unwanted real estate.
Well, I think going forward, these are the days you want to put a big circle around, do your homework, and follow horses that had trips down towards the inside because they're good bet backs, and that's an angle that just seems to work. Horses against the bias or horses that were dressed up on the bias, they just either come back and run huge, and the ones that rode the bias come back and underperform at short odds.
And this is why it's so important to pay attention to race replays. When you do your handicap, and obviously you can see what you can see on paper in the form, however you handicap, but then use the tool of going to race replay centers and watching, because sometimes you won't pick up those things reading a paper. 7
cards down as we check out the rider standings here at Aqueduct and look at that view from the clubhouse turn. That is a spot on the racetrack that will see plenty of action tomorrow. We'll keep our fingers crossed with the turf. Junior Alvarado continues to ride well. He is your leading jockey at the meet with 11 wins. Cornelia Velasquez, that nice victory, real game and gritty on Tenango earlier in the day. Manny Franco with 8, and David Jacobson big. How about that? He is 7 for 13 during this fall meet.
Yeah, and just a huge day for David Jacobson. And not just winning, but running 1-2 at a couple spots. I mean, so he's firing on all cylinders as always. And put a little cushion between him and John Sheriff's, Linda Rice, and the rest.
Well, with the weather of the wet tracks over the last couple of cards, the activity in the claim box has been kind of quiet. But as I mentioned earlier in the day, Santa Elf was claimed by trainer Tony Dutrow, a horse that seems to run well just every time he breaks from the starting gate. And two-way shakes right down the line. 3 claims on the afternoon.
Yeah, Claimbach's not quite as active as it was over at Belmont, but I think you'll see more and more claiming as we go forward and people start loading up for the Intertrack meet.
And we go forward with a Saturday preview, the Long Island. We'll talk about the late pick 4, another solid allowance race on the turf. All that and more here on Insider. Rare Monday card of live racing at Aqueduct on the horizon. That's right, it is Veterans Appreciation Day. We certainly thank all the brave men and women who have fought for this country and served, those either serving now or those who have served in the past. And Monday, every day is about you, but Monday indeed, with a couple of special celebrations outside after race number 4. And we're certainly excited about the free admission to Long Shots for Now Rewards members and a free $2 wagering voucher with the purchase of any program. All you need is a valid military ID, and certainly a nice day to think about our veterans.
Well, and like you said, we should think about them every day. Because of them, we can enjoy the freedoms and the liberties that we have in this country, and people like you and I get to come to the races every day.
It's a tough life. Someone's got to do it, but thank you for that. Let's get on to our preview. We stopped first before the Long Island with race number 5 and Sky Painter, Godolphin blue cap, sort of Godolphin sleeves with the silver or the white. She gets blind switched and really had the worst of it here.
Yeah, it really did have the worst of it. Wide, searching for room, has to duck back inside. Like you said, pretty much blind switch. You'd have to think this filly's going to come with a big run. It's going to be interesting to see how she handles the ground. She has handled good turf, but I would count on this turf being pretty yielding tomorrow. And
certainly it was nowhere near yielding back in late July at Saratoga. Samba Sunset, yellow cap. Hope Cross was the one in the blue sitting third who stayed inside too long.
Yeah, stayed inside a bit too long. No doubt about that. But she's also shown that she can handle yielding ground. She ran a really good 7/8 race on yielding ground, so at least you know that she's going to probably handle the ground tomorrow.
Well, we spent a good amount of time on tonight's show talking about the white-hot David Jacobson. How about trainer John Sheriffs, who's 3 for 4 at the meet? Yellow cap, shadow roll down inside. Here comes Fresh Feline.
This is a remarkable run, a remarkable ride by Rajiv Mirage. I mean, fearless by both horse and rider to absolutely squeeze through between horses late. A lot of body contact. She probably need a little time to overcome that. But this is a very, very game filly. She won by a nose, but if she had gotten a free run, a clear run, she probably would have won by more than that. And this is a filly that I admire just because of her bravery.
Only 2 races today, and I think you do get her best race tomorrow, but course condition. And what's it like for a rider when you're riding on a turf course that hasn't seen any action in multiple days and the course has received a lot of rain?
Well, actually, you know, it's not terrible because it's not cut up, because it hasn't been used much. So even though it'll be soft, you're not running in divots left over by other horses that have run on it over the week. So there's not a lot of wear to the course. Later on in the day, if they're able to get all 4 races in, it could be a concern. So I wonder if they'll run all 4 scheduled turf races tomorrow on it.
Well, certainly you would think we'll be on no matter what regarding race number 7. That's the Grade 3 feature, $200,000 Long Island. So as if we don't get any more rain. It's a pretty solid field, a big field at that. Viva Raffaella for the Pletcher Barn drops out of the Flower Bowl.
Drops out of the Flower Bowl, but also goes a quarter of a mile further. I mean, obviously it's easier company, and she did run a big race. Stephanie's Kitten came back to be second in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Viva Raffaella seems to always make the pace. Doesn't seem like she has that fortitude, the last little bit to hang on, and she's going to catch soft ground, and that might hurt her speed.
What about Christophe Coman? He's won this race a couple of times. He sends out 3, in fact. Ague Marine might be his best chance, and she certainly ran well at Delaware 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, she really did. And last year, she was only beaten 3/4 the length on soft ground here in the Long Island. Seems like she's in good form coming forward to this, and I agree with you. Also, she has an advantageous inside post because you're breaking right into the turn going 1.5 miles, and even though she's going to come from off the pace, she's going to get the save ground.
Well, we get some Euro participation going 12 furlongs. How about the Calumet farm-owned Hellenistic for Dermot Weld?
Well, and you know that she's going to handle soft ground. She's won over there on yielding and soft. And these guys don't ship horses over here just to say, well, let's take a shot and run. They're coming to get the money. She's going to be very, very tough.
And this is kind of a rare move for Michael Dubb, buying a foreign turf horse, and that is Danza Cavallo, a French bred who's now in the barn of Chad Brown.
Yeah, and when we've seen what Chad does with all these imports and another one that handles soft ground, so it'll be interesting to see how she does first time in the country.
Well, Chad won today's 4th. He was on hand, and he caught up with Maggie to talk about his new import.
I'm here with the man of the hour, Chad Brown, who will send out the likely favorite in tomorrow's Long Island handicap. That is Danza Cavallo, a 3-year-old filly that has yet to run here in the States, but this is a move you're very good with, and she's been in your barn since about August.
Yeah, she's training very well. Good-looking filly, really athletic. Really wasn't looking to start her at 1.5 miles off the layoff, but it's all that's available. And, you know, judging by her races I've seen on tape, she can stay, so she should be fine.
And you should be pretty happy with the ground if it stays a bit soft, right?
Yeah, she's had experience on soft ground, and she'll have no problem with that.
Chad, let's rewind about a week ago to the Breeders' Cup out at Santa Anita. And in your young career, you're only 35. You've racked up several Breeders' Cup races so far. Talk about your grit and determination and just your hard work that's gone into bringing these horses along.
Well, I'm here doing the interview, but really my help. I have a tremendous staff behind me, and I get to travel around and do all this. And we do it together, and we've been lucky with terrific clients behind us. And even for this past weekend, these 3 winners, the folks at Naira deserve a lot of credit. You know, these horses were trained right here at Belmont, and particularly breezing on the turf. It wasn't easy getting out there, and they always made it available, and the conditions were always perfect to train on. So really, all in all, team effort from everyone I work with.
Well, that is very nice of you to say, and it's true as well. You always have to have a good team behind you. But I know it's like picking children, but which win was your favorite?
It's always, you know, if you're going to put me on the spot, you know, Bobby's kitten by a nose, literally, over the other ones, just because it's named after my mentor, and it was just such a big win. It was the 3rd win of the weekend, and it was just incredible, but all of them were important and special in their own ways.
Well, Chad, good luck and good job as always.
Thank you.
The old Bobby Franco protege certainly learned a lot from the master, an educated guy, went to Cornell University, got a degree in animal science, and it's all paying off. What a Breeders' Cup weekend.
What a tremendous Breeders' Cup weekend, and he absolutely put himself squarely in the center of Eclipse Award discussions. I mean,
Sure.
you've got it. I mean, the Breeders' Cup he's got to be high on the list. Bobby's kitten was an amazing run he made.
And certainly some great memories of the one and only Bobby Franco, born not too far from Aqueduct, as we send it to Andy and Maggie with who to look for tomorrow afternoon.
Keep our fingers crossed and hope we're on the turf for Saturday, at least for the 5th race, and of course the 7th, the Long Island, which I'm relatively sure will be on the turf. In the 5th race, the 5 Sky Painter is way the horse to beat. There's no denying it, and she'll be a reasonably short price, and she should be. I like the 10 Run to the River. I don't necessarily dislike Sky Painter, but I'm going to try to beat her with Run to the River, and I'll certainly have a 5-10 exacta in here to cover myself. Run to the River looked pretty good in her debut when she won impressively for trainer Shug McGahee. Something happened, and she did not run well in her subsequent start in June. She came off a layoff and ran a very competitive allowance race, and she flew off to a big early lead. To me, that's the sign they were looking to get a good prep race in her. She's not a speed horse. She's a closer. It's not the kind of way you would expect her to run. She needed a tightener, and she got it that day. With all the rain, she's been rained out of one race at least, like a lot of these horses, but she comes back in here, and I think she's good enough to maybe give a fight to Sky Painter and at least be second at what I think will be a fair price. The 10 Run of the River in the 5th race with the 5 Sky Painter and the exacta to cover.
Well, we got ran down with today's Paddock Insider, GR's Giant in the first, but we'll try once again, and we'll look at race number 2 on the Saturday card. It is a maiden special weight going the 1 mile and 1/16. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have turf racing tomorrow. It is for the 2-year-olds, and I'm looking at number 5 in here, Wild Dynaformer, who will go out for trainer Tom Albatrani in his 3rd start of his career. Now, Dynaformer, as I've always said, is a great influence as far as switching to the turf for the first time, and in my lookings at this horse, he strikes me much more as a turf horse. Granted, on the bottom side, there's not much turf pedigree to go on. He is a half to the very talented Pyro, who is a young stallion as well. But the thing is many of the siblings have never tried the turf, so I'm going to give Wild Dynaformer his first try on the turf, a positive one for today's Paddock Insider. Guys?
Shug and Tom Albatrani, good company for Andy and Maggie, the Mig and me. We're in good company with all of you, but we got to say goodnight. We'll see you tomorrow here at the Big A.